15 rallies over 12 months on all terrains, it's time for the final round of the most grueling motorsport championship on the planet. Welcome to the joys of a British winter. Howling wind, pouring rain, treacherous ditches, mud and fog. A mad slip-sliding charge through the mountains. It's a tough end-of-season challenge, whether you're a rookie or an old pro. With no victories this season, one such pro will be pushing harder than anyone to salvage some pride at the Last Chance Saloon. It's been the toughest season for the Subaru World Rally team since they entered the sport 17 years ago.
I've never had a year like this, never. I've never experienced anything like it.
Over the last decade, they've taken 6 championship titles and won at least one rally every year.
To finish a season with no wins is going to weigh heavily on me.
Rally GB is the last chance to salvage some glory for the team and their Norwegian star driver, Petter Solberg. While Petter's had a horrible year, the season's been dominated by Frenchman Sébastien Loeb. Despite missing 3 rallies with a broken arm, he's already taken the driver's crown. Running a close second is flying Finn Marcus Gronholm, and with Loeb also sitting out Rally GB, the Ford driver will be Petter's main rival. But there's more than victory at stake. It's also Subaru's last chance to lay to rest a nightmare series of engineering problems that have plagued them all season. It all went wrong from day one. At Monte Carlo, an oil leak led to engine failure and retirement for Petter on leg 1. More reliability problems and punctures marred the next few rallies, robbing Petter of potential wins in both Mexico and Argentina. The reliability issues were gradually solved, only to reveal a deeper, serious fault with the car. A mystery handling problem that has kept Petter off the pace all year. A problem so slippery and elusive that the Director of Engineering, Steve Farrell, has codenamed it the Snake.
It was a little bit like going through the undergrowth, going through the jungle. We thought we were coming to a clearing, and we've almost sorted this problem, and I think we ended up finding ourselves, still in the bush.
The prime suspect for the Snake has varied from the suspension to the steering to the transmission system. But for months, the true culprit has evaded identification. And while Steve's been scouring the car for clues, Petter's attempts to use his driving skill to force more speed out of the car have ended in tears. The sheer frustration of it all left Petter confused, demoralised, and fending off accusations that he's lost it as a driver.
You never lose it, and that's it.
Chuck in some friction with tyre supplier Pirelli, and it all adds up to a season from hell. With the championship finale looming, tension is rife in the team and morale is low. But one man more than any other is determined to get things back on track and prove that he and Subaru still have what it takes. And that's Petter himself.
I'm really excited to see how it can end the season, because if we have a chance to win this rally, it will be like a world championship win for me and the whole team.
At Rally Team headquarters in Banbury, Subaru are making final preparations for the Rally of Great Britain. Steve Farrell and his engineering team have spent months hunting down the mystery handling problem he calls the snake, and now they think they've finally found it.
We believe we've spotted the problem, and since Japan, in steps during the subsequent rallies, we've been applying the theory, and it appears to be working.
Steve's found and corrected an unusual friction problem deep inside the car's suspension system. He won't know for sure until well into the rally if this problem really was the snake. But if he's finally nailed it, this could be one hell of a comeback.
I'd like to think that as a sort of swan song for this season, that this might be the rally at which we're going to demonstrate where we probably should have been in Monte Carlo.
If anyone can motivate the team to make such a comeback, it's their star driver, Petter Solberg. Like most sporting champions, Petter has fought his way to the top the hard way. As a teenager, he scraped together the money to rebuild old bangers in his garage, then enter them into local events. His big break came in '96 when older brother Henning was foolish enough to lend Petter his spare car for a high-profile rally.
I borrowed my brother's car, Group A Celica. I was leading in front of him, he had done a couple of years before. And I had a massive accident, and I made a big one.
Despite trashing Big Brother's car, Petter had done enough to get noticed, and there was no turning back. Petter fought his way up to the top, driving for Ford, and then in 2000 signing for Subaru, winning the World Championship 3 years later. As well as driving talent, the Norwegian has all the other skills he'll need to become a champion again. He has the brain of an engineer. He has the hands of a top mechanic. There's been no shortage of practice this year. And he has the passion to push on, however badly things are going. Having won in Britain for the last 4 years, Petter's heading to this year's rally determined to remotivate his team and fight to the very last kilometre of the season.
Still, I wake up in the morning, like my mother says, say that you're the best, that you're gonna win, and I do that even if things are very, very difficult. So you see what the piece of car can do this rally.
111 crews have entered this year's rally. Of those, only 18 are competing at the top level. Behind them, there are all sorts of other tussles going on. The cars may be slower, but the competition is no less fierce. Near the back are the young guns, like 22-year-old local boy Kevin Davies. These are the guys fighting to be the Petter Solberg of the future.
Rallying's been in the blood since when I was 13, 14. Used to have my mates back from school to take the car on the field. No banger. We had just something to get behind the wheel, just an excuse to get the car sideways and everything like that. You know, that's what it all started off from.
Kevin's whole family and all his mates are now involved. It's like the Subaru World Rally team in miniature, including the performance of the cars, the price tag, and the size and budget of the teams. But with one common aim: to win. With Rally GB fast approaching, Kevin is in Wales for his final test. Kevin can afford just 12 of these test days all year, so he really has to get the most out of it to find some edge over the other 12 Fiesta drivers he's up against. Like his role model, Petter, he's learned the importance of attention to detail, right down to the headlights.
The two in the centre then, which are the clear lenses, which give you the actual distance, but the side ones have the spread, you know.
While Subaru will be testing right up to the day before the rally, Kevin can't risk it. If he damaged the car, he wouldn't have the manpower to repair it in time. So every detail must be right by the end of today. Or at least by the end of the night. Rally GB takes place in South Wales, around the cities of Swansea and the capital Cardiff. It's loved for its winding gravel tracks, huge ditches, and most of all, the mud.
It's always slippy and muddy. It's not an easy rally.
Just hope to stay on the road, basically. That's it.
The rally includes 17 time stages, totalling 356 kilometres over 3 days. The drivers cover another 850 kilometres on public roads between the stages and Team Service Park back in Swansea. With 1 day to go, it's shakedown. The final systems test before the rally.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 60. 6 right plus long, 20. Keep right to the crest, 2 left half long. Tightest cut minus.
This is Steve's first chance to gauge if the snake has really been banished.
Now, at this rally, we've got to the end, and I think we've licked 90% of the problems.
Steve will need the full 356 kilometres of the rally to know for sure if the snake is safely dead.
Into 6 right minus half long.
But Petter hammers his Impreza nonetheless, before handing it over to his 16 mechanics to fix it up for tomorrow. Meanwhile, at the far end of the service park, Kevin and his co-driver Sean O'Gorman don't have the manpower or the spares to risk any testing today. Besides which, Kevin's too busy making sure his car is legal to compete. It's exactly how Petter got started. The next step for Kevin is to beat his rivals and get noticed.
Yeah, the outcome's good. The souvenirs just checked it and said fine, so we're on our way again.
Sorted.
Before dawn on day one, there's a small army of fanatics on the move. Hiking, biking and scrambling through the muddy fields to the morning stages. Among them are the massive Petter Solberg and somewhat smaller Kevin Davies fan clubs. United in doing what it takes to reach the perfect vantage point to watch their heroes and 100 other cars charge by. Back in the service park, Subaru are making the most important decision of the morning. The tyre choice. A choice between 4 compounds of rubber for their heavily treaded tyres.
It's wet, it's muddy, it's slippy. Quite tricky in there, you know, and it'd be interesting to see, you know, the drivers will never believe they're on the right tyre anyway, so. But no, I think the tyre choice is very good.
They've chosen medium soft tyres for grip and durability on the long, soggy stages. It's crunch time for Petter and his Welsh co-driver Phil Mills. Their mission simple, to see off rival Gronholm and steal a win from this wet and windy last chance saloon. The first 3 stages of the rally take place 25 kilometres from the service park in the hills east of Swansea. Petter's strategy is clear. Charge from stage 1.
3, 2, 1. 2 right minus margin short, opens into 6 left plus over crest, 80. 6 left plus over crest, extra long, 100.
5 kilometres in, Petter's fastest.
60, crest 80, crest 30, big jump 120.
He's leading the rally. But sliding into a hairpin, Petter stalls. In the service park, the team's GPS tracking system delivers the bad news.
Petter's been at a moment. It's gone plus 8.
Petter's lost the lead and he can't keep up his opening charge. Over the next 2 stages, he fights to match his rival, but either Petter or the car is clearly off the pace. He finishes the morning in 2nd place, half a minute behind Gronholm. Thankful for the lunchtime break to work out what's gone wrong. By the time Petter checks into time control back at the service park, his mind's made up. After endless tension with suppliers Pirelli all season, Petter is once again pointing the finger at his tyres. He thinks that extra cuts should have been made in the tread.
I think you should have saved a couple more here, you know. I didn't have enough grip yet. I should have taken 8 straight. Brake? Yeah, brake.
Understood.
Petter now needs his engineering team to turn things around. But it seems a year-long struggle with the Snake has finally brought Steve to his limit. After just 3 stages, he appears ready to chuck in the towel.
Right, this morning, first day. I'd say the score was a little bit below average. I think we're still a bit off the pace from where we should be. Looks like the sort of Gronholm can dictate the pace, so we haven't really got a car tyre package that can compete with Ford at the moment.
But unlike Steve, Petter, the engineer, isn't giving up so easily. He calls for a whole raft of changes to be made to his car during its 30-minute service. More grip from the tyres, more traction from the gearbox. Petter's determined to keep his team fired up.
Good job, guys. Very good.
Petter heads back out to fight for the lead. Meanwhile, 80 cars behind Petter, young privateer Kevin Davies is preparing for a challenging morning.
5, 3, 2, 1, go. 4 right over the crest. 2 right over the crest.
In his 2-wheel drive Fiesta, the muddy gravel tracks are a real trial, especially now they've been torn up by the 4x4 big boys ahead. But Kevin's on it. He's the fastest Fiesta through stage 1. Then on stage 3, his car starts vibrating. The rough conditions have punctured his right rear tyre. He's running on his wheel rim and has to stop to change his tyre in the stage. Kevin's back on the road in just over 3 minutes. That's fast for a tyre change, but it's pushed him down to 7th out of the 13 Fiestas. Like Petter, he now has some serious catching up to do. Desperate to close that 35-second gap to rally leader Gronholm. And his changes to the car and tyres seem to be paying off. As his confidence grows, he gets even faster. And on stage 6, he pulls out all the stops.
Push the last split, that bit of one.
Petter wins the stage. He's cut the gap to Gronholm to just 26 seconds. It's game on.
Okay, well done.
He's back in the thick of the action after a season watching from the sidelines. And he and his co-driver, Phil Mills, think there's still more pace to come.
Do we get them tyres on tomorrow? Huh? Have them tyres on. Yeah. Just hang on in there.
This time, it's a triumphant return to service for the Subaru crew. Petter, the motivator, is back, putting a smile on everyone's faces.
That was good. I'm very happy. It's good. A little bit like the old days, you know, like just need a couple more.
No, he always pushes here, and this is you're seeing classic Petter. You haven't seen this all year. I mean, we've had years when he's been like this all the time.
I'm very happy, actually. I'm very happy, especially last stage. That was good.
Meanwhile, on Skid Row, after his own day of strife behind the wheel, Kevin's also learning how to motivate his team.
Yeah, this afternoon went okay. The last two stages we just took a bit of care into them because of the ruts and everything. I really cut up badly in places, like, you know. Yeah, the car's back, big hole in the floor, but as you can see, but there we are. Nothing the boys can sort out.
His mechanics work hard through the 45-minute service to keep their young driver in the running. Meanwhile, back in his hotel, Petter's already sorted his strategy for leg 2. No surprises here.
I'm going to go for a big attack. I'm going to drive with exactly the same setup I have now, and I'm going to try very hard. And let's hope we can beat Marcus. It would have been a very good good ending of the season for me and for the fans and the team and everybody. So I'm prepared to take some big risks tomorrow to do that.
The Subaru team arrives early to prepare for leg 2 of Rally GB. Petter's been planning his psychology to capture Marcus Gronholm's lead.
I think psychologically it's very important to take a couple seconds out of him this morning. If he is taking a couple seconds, then you know it's gonna be hard. I have to break his neck a little bit on the first stage.
Saturday stages are 50 kilometres inland from the service park, in the moorland fringes of the Brecon Beacons. True to his word, Petter's on the attack, dragging every ounce of performance from the car and taking some big risks.
Keep right to the crest.
This ditch is going to cost a lot more time than Petter's stall yesterday.
Go, 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 go!
Good boys. Okay, good lads, well done. Okay, get it together then, okay. Keep right to the crest and 4 left bus to the crest, tightens 2. 6 right bus, open 16.
But it gets worse for the team. Rather than hear it straight from Petter, they're forced to listen to their driver blaming the car in his end-of-stage interview.
You've lost second place. What happened?
I tried very hard from the start, and I did a mistake over crest. I had a lot of understeer, and that's it. Then we got stuck. You've got to
just fight back now and give Manfred it back.
This is not Paul's idea of how to motivate the team.
You can take some responsibility for this.
Paul will take some convincing that the car was at fault this time.
Bit of understeer. It's not a car issue, no. No. The car didn't go off the rest of the stage, no.
Petter's fast and error-free through the next 2 stages. But overall, rally leader Marcus Gronholm is now a full minute ahead of him. Time for a rethink. Young privateer Kevin's on his own mission to make up time he lost yesterday. On stage 7, he's desperate to be faster than his rival Fiestas, but like Petter, might just be pushing too hard.
50, 4 left, and hairpin right. Oh, you bastard! Ah! And hairpin right. Oh, you bastard! Ah! You right? Come on, boys! Push us back, boys! Come on!
Like Petter, Kevin depends on the fans to get him back on the road. But it's cost him more than 6 minutes and a shattered windscreen. Kevin drives another 2 whole stages with near zero visibility, and despite bravely pushing on at speeds of over 80 miles per hour, he finishes the morning a disappointing 9th out of 13 in his class. 50 kilometres away, Petter's still making excuses.
Long ride, and I was just tight and celebrated. Nothing special. And it doesn't matter what I did, cried or break or it was luck. That's it.
But Paul doesn't want to hear it.
Right, moving on then.
Yeah.
The Norwegian is still convinced his car is at least partly at fault and says he's lacking grip from his tyres again. But he's taken the hint from his boss and decides to take the blame.
We know you're desperate to win here in Wales, maybe pushing a bit too hard?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Too hard?
Yeah.
While Petter leaves to resume his challenge, young privateer Kevin's back after his own off-road experience. Fixing this mess in just 30 minutes is going to stretch his small family team.
It's all dependent whether we can get the new windscreen in time for the time allocated.
While his mechanics struggle to fix the car on time, Kevin's decided that he's going to blame his pace notes.
The nose would kind of right, we're going to go back to the second and on make sure we get that piece right again. As well, I remember it was a 2 left and a 2 right. And there was like a sudden 8 right, which I didn't quite manage to slow the car down enough. And the car went in the ditch. Luckily, spectators came out of nowhere and just managed to get me out there.
Like his role model, Petter, Kevin is being put through the ringer by Rally GB, as is his car. Even Kevin's sister, Carol, is roped in to speed things up.
Yeah.
With moments to spare, his car battered and smeared with the mechanic's blood, Kevin leaves for another hammering on the stages.
Not much time to do it in half an hour, but being honest, yeah, great.
A minute behind the lead, Petter now has no choice but to push himself and his car to the limit.
Keep middle, over crash through Bales, 10, turn early.
Every second counts.
Opens, 100, 110.
Petter's hit a gate post, the same post that put Gronholm out of this rally 2 years ago. Is it bad enough to put them out of the rally too?
Okay, all right.
Bloody hell.
That's it?
Oh, it's something more. The steering and everything.
Left. Go down on the level. Yeah, we'll clear a stage. There's something broken in the steering.
Broken
It's a broken
steering arm of TCA. The gate post where Marcus broke his that time.
Okay.
No steering.
Can you stop and check?
Yeah, we're gonna check now.
We're gonna stop now. Okay.
We will lose a lot of time,
They have to start the next stage 8 kilometres away in just 20 minutes, so they can't afford to stop for long. Cue Petter, the mechanic. He swiftly diagnoses that his steering rack is broken. The team rallies to design a quick fix for the problem.
I think it's going to be snapped there. He said he's looking down, he can see it moving around.
They've got various bits and bobs in the car to sort of affect sort of temporary repairs, and they're going to try it a little bit further as they go along further along the road section and see just how much they attack the special stage. But clearly, steering's a fairly safety critical item.
Low crossover one. Yeah. That's where it wants to go, but it's going to take him a while to get the guard off.
What about tie wraps around the neck of the steering rack? You know, wrap 2 big tie wraps around the top of the neck of it and then through the cross member, you know, where the joint goes in. Do you understand that better?
This morning's blame game forgotten, team boss Paul is standing by his man.
Okay, well, I was still on the podium anyway, so Petter Freely were talking on the phone. Freely said what the situation was. It was, you know, his mistake he made. You know, that's rallying. So now we're just going to focus on getting a podium.
Yeah, it's just another catalogue of some of the stuff that's happened to us during this year, really.
Having made a quick repair, Petter starts stage 12 on time.
4, 3, 2, 1. 2, right minus tight and short. Opens 6 left off to the crest.
It's a critical moment. He has 18 punishing kilometres to go, with cable ties holding vital bits of his steering rack in place.
40.
If the repair fails, he'll be out of the rally.
Opens to the crest, 40.
That doesn't seem to hold Petter back, and just over 11 minutes later, he emerges unscathed, but he's lost another minute to Gronholm.
On earth is it like driving on a stage where it's so slippery, it's been raining terribly with no steering?
Not easy.
Can you fight back tomorrow?
Well, we will see.
With his new windscreen in place, Kevin fares better than Petter. No punctures, rolls or spins. He's third fastest against his rivals through all 3 stages in the afternoon, and he's back up from 9th to 7th in the Fiestas. Back at the service park, mechanics get stuck into changing Petter's steering rack.
Rally drivers, when they've hit cars, normally put a lot of effort into fixing them, you know. So, I mean, Petter's a good mechanic. It is where the steering rack's failed, there and there. The rack's held in from this end, but it can float up and down, so the rack can move up and down. So when he was steering, he was feeling that would be the steering column there, and he'd be moving, and the rack would be moving slightly up and down. So we got them to put the tyre wraps, which are always a good temporary repair, round the head of the steering rack and round the cross member, which then stopped it floating.
Sam, there's some brake cleaner.
With a new steering rack, Petter's car is ready for the final day. But Marcus Gronholm is now nearly 2 minutes ahead. Petter's only hope of victory is to keep the pressure on and force the Finn to make a mistake.
Tomorrow we will try to, well, stay third anyway, but if anything happens to the guys in front, I will be there, and hopefully we can gain a place. That would have been good fun, but we try again.
Having battled through 5,000 kilometres this season, Petter's not going to give up the chase, with only 112 left to run. It's the final day of Subaru's season from hell. And a lovely day for a Sunday drive in the country.
It is difficult Welsh weather, yes, it is. Yeah. There we are. It's only raining in between showers, so it's not so bad.
Phil may be relaxed, but it's a different story in the tyre tent. the problems with tyre supplier Pirelli have reached a new level.
No good to KP4 Plus. These are the 5 for Petter.
It's going to be extra muddy on the stages, so to get more grip, they need to make more cuts in the tyre tread, but it's taking too long.
20-30 minutes was spent debating cuts and what we should do, and Pirelli wanted to probably not go with so much of a cut, and the driver and Subaru World Rally team wanted more of a cut, and in the end we kind of arrived at a compromise. But as we did that, then we had reports of more rain coming into the stages, and it's probably not going to be quite enough for the loop this morning.
They haven't cut the tyre treads enough for the stage conditions, but there's no time to cut any more.
Where's my driver?
So Petter leaves with less grip than he needs. This could really cost him. The final stages of the season take place on gravel tracks 40 kilometres north of Swansea.
Opens arm long, 80.
It's rough on the long stages, and Petter's handling starts to feel sloppy. He realises he has not one but 2 punctures. Luckily, there's a strong rubber mousse inside his tyres to support them when punctured, and it allows him to continue at race speed. Incredibly, despite the punctures and the wrong tread, Petter wins the stage. But with only one spare, they'll have to continue with a punctured tyre on the next stage. If the mousse fails, they're in big trouble. A bit of extra tension for the last day.
Okay for time. Just go up slowly. Huh? Just go up slowly.
Yeah, but Phil, we need warming the tires.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying about the back left.
It doesn't matter. If it breaks, it breaks. It's...
Plus extra long tighten, 4 minus. Opens flat.
Another day.
60.
Another ditch.
Come on! Turn off the response, turn off the response. Come on, come!
Another recovery job for the fans.
Go on, good lad. Okay.
And another 30 seconds lost.
22 left minus, tightens 1 plus give in. And shot 4 right minus, cut 1 left plus long.
He's dropped a lot there.
He's dropped 20 seconds.
Petter battles on, but he's down in 3rd place and over 2 minutes behind Gronholm.
40. 6 right plus. Get in. Okay.
Very wrong camber there, Phil.
Yeah, one back left tyre, wasn't it? We had a stage, we had 16, 5, 4, 6. We had a puncture, we had a spin, got stuck. Okay, Phil, thanks for that.
It's been another morning of both highs and painful lows. And Subaru's season from hell isn't over yet. At Rally GB, Petter Solberg has proved once again his extraordinary ability to keep fighting whatever goes wrong. But he needs the right tyres to finish the season in style, and Pirelli are struggling to deliver, so Petter's heading for the tyre tent. And what he sees when he gets there beggars belief. Team boss Paul Howarth has turned tyre man. This just about sums up Petter's season.
Oh yeah, now we've got the right bloke on the job. found his poorly.
The length we go to get the right tyre on the car. Well, it's just workload, you know, not a lot of time to do it. We're doing massive amount of cutting. It takes a long time, you know, and that's the end of it. So we've just got to do the best we can.
The clock is ticking.
You've got 6 minutes with Petter. 6 minutes.
That's 6 minutes to cut 4 more tyres. It's barely enough time. Phil and Petter have to leave at any moment to avoid being late at time control, so they get strapped in. But they're not going anywhere without wheels. It's the last run, the last chance saloon for Subaru's season. Paul is determined to give Petter the machinery he needs to end the season on a high. Less than a minute to spare, he's done it. Young privateer Kevin charges into the closing stages of the rally, having moved up from 7th to 5th earlier in the day. He's looking to take a couple more places and storms through the final stage to finish second in the Fiestas. Despite a catalogue of problems to rival Petter's, Kevin's fought his way to the end of a car-wrecking home rally. He's certainly proved that he has what it takes, and the young Welshman returns triumphantly to the service park.
To finish a rally like this, which is so long and, you know, such mileage on the car. We haven't done this mileage in this car before. It's a great feeling.
Kevin gets some hard-earned and crucial media attention. It's another small step on the rocky road to the big time.
You can ride, yeah?
Yeah, don't drink it. I'll enjoy this.
Early 6 right, extra long, tightens early. Opens up long.
Back in the hills, Petter's doing what he does best, pushing hard. A win, even second place, may be out of reach.
Extra long.
But despite another series of setbacks, something special has happened here in wet and windy Wales. Solberg and his Subaru are back on the pace. Petter wins both final stages. And that final spin aside, on the last day of the championship, Petter is the fastest man in World Rally.
Okay,
we made it. We made it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the season.
Yeah, exactly. Not the season over.
Yeah.
Not the best one.
No.
It's not the fairy tale finish, the last gasp victory they dreamed of. But Subaru is back. The snake has been charmed, and Petter is back on the pace of his big rivals.
It was just missing that one stage this morning, but that's how it is. But it's been so much up and down in this rally, and the ending, you know, we got third place, and good for the team to be on the podium for the last rally of the season always helps.
It's the end of an extraordinary season for the team. They've taken the challenge of the World Rally Championship to new extremes with an incredible run of engineering problems, bad luck, rows, hirings and firings. Petter fighting ruthlessly for a few precious results. New boss Paul rebuilding the team, and engineer Steve finally fixing the car. They've proved that even when the odds seem stacked so high, they have what it takes to engineer the World Rally.
We're back.